going, everybody? It's Big T from It's All a Work podcast. I'm sitting here with Big Ace Montana.
It's over, Jack.
That's right. So we're sitting in the wrestling ring at RVA Wrestling Academy. If you are a new wrestler or you want to get in the business, this is the man to talk to right here.
Don't say that. I mean, come on. You can go anywhere you want. I just help people out that are in the Richmond area for sure.
Well, Ace Montana, first of all, let me thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for letting you come in the house, right?
That's right. And let me ask you, so you've opened up this training school. You've opened up training schools before.
Yep.
I was one of your original trainees.
You know, it's crazy to believe that shirt's 10 years old now.
Right.
That's the crazy part.
So let me ask you this. Why are you so passionate about training new wrestlers, and what sets you apart from other wrestling schools?
Well, let's look at it this way, right? So you got to truly love something to have this on your property, right? I got beautiful 15 acres here. If you're hearing the rain on the steel building, that's what it was. You know, the school's always in works and getting better and, you know, doing stuff that we're doing. Which I guess I got 20 years doing this almost. I mean, I think like 4 months. I got 20 years as an active independent pro wrestler. And like, here's the thing I tell people, right? I've been Ace Montana for 20 fucking years.
From the beginning.
You know, from the beginning. There was no, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was a couple of things where I played with some names when I thought about breaking in the industry. But when Ace Montana, I was like, damn, that's a good name. Okay, let me go with that. And you just got to make it work to what you want it to be. But yeah, I mean, you can go on YouTube and look at, and I've never posted anything on YouTube. It's always been promoters or people that's been, you know, have their own channels or guys like you. And you can go back and look, there's some on there like 18, 19 years old as being Ace Montana as either as a heel or baby face, you know, for the smart guys out there. Yeah. I don't want to, I hate it. I don't want to disrespect fans like that. But, you know, I think I give people an opportunity that's what sets my school apart is a couple of things. It's a brotherhood. I teach you that. It's a family. Mm-hmm. It's affordable. Jesus Christ, it's affordable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't think my rates have to change because I own the property where the school sits, where the, you know, everything that we're doing. I don't have rent anywhere, you know, and, you know, I think that's the best thing for me. And I'm not saying that, you'll get guys, you'll get what you pay for and stuff like that. Mm. But I've never wrestled for Vince McMahon or the WWE. I've never wrestled for AEW. I've been an independent professional wrestler. You go check any of the posters, any of the posts, it says break into independent professional wrestling. I made some good money with pro wrestling, especially on the indies, for a long time. So having 20 years of experience, winning championships from all the way to Florida, up to Pennsylvania, traveling from, you know, when I lived in Pittsburgh, I would travel to Dallas. I'd drive out to California. I'd go into, you know, Mexico, into Canada. I mean, this was back in the day when there was no GPS, smartphones. It was Yahoo Maps and a prayer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So a lot of guys, like, they'll sit there and they'll say, okay, well, fuck that guy. You can bleep that out. No. They'll say, fuck that guy. And, you know, oh, what's he ever done? Well, I mean, I've entertained thousands of people, and I've had people come up to me and be like, man, you remind me so much of the old school. It was such a treat for me, and my kids got to see guys. And, you know, I see a lot of cool posts where if you can't afford a WWE or AEW ticket, go to the indie shows.
True.
They're fucking
amazing.
They're so much fun, and you never know who's booked. You never know who's going to come out, or you'll never know who shows up. I think Matt Hardy, I've been trying to get in touch with him. Hopefully Matt Hardy sees this. Come by when he's here for the Comic-Con thing in Richmond. They're like, hey, what do you need to come here for 2 hours to work with my guys? So I'm trying to bring guys here that have worked for the WWE so my guys can have questions for those guys. Earl Hebner came here. His daughter comes here and trains. She'll be here tomorrow training with people. And, you know, Earl Hebner sat here. And, you know, just to have Earl Hebner sit there and go, man, Ace, this place is awesome. You're doing a really good job with these young guys. This is how they should break into business. That means so much to me. That guy's been anyone and everyone. Steve Austin thinks he's the best rep. Triple H thinks he's the best. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. These are my idols that, you know, So I think separating myself from, I don't want to separate myself from school. I wish schools would work together. I wish feds would work together. I wish we would all work together without it always being like, hey, we're the fucking best. Everyone else sucks.
Sure.
Here's why.
So let me ask you this: a lot of new wrestlers on the independent scene. We talked about before. Wrestling's getting really hot again.
Yeah.
What is your advice? If you could give one piece of advice to up and coming indie wrestlers or people who are breaking into business, what would you tell them?
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Because I didn't, and I lost so many cool opportunities in my career at the beginning, thinking that because I was a wrestling fan. And it's so different now, right? Because you truly have to be a fan to want to break into wrestling. And if I could give you any advice as a new independent pro wrestler, shut your fucking mouth, smile, be polite, help. I still help break down the rings.
Really?
With my students, 20 years later, I'll tell you, I got done wrestling Doug Delicious in Norfolk, or I think it's Norfolk. I don't know. Where's the gym, Body by D at? Where's that located? Hampton
Roads, Norfolk, yeah.
So
kind of area.
Exactly. So I got done wrestling. I was like this. It was the main event of the show, of the TV taping and all that good stuff. And man, my guys were there. My trainees go to all my shows, which is I want to say sets me apart. Is my trainees have to travel with me. They help set up the ring. They can train if we get there early enough, and they help break down the ring.
Okay.
So they do all the stuff they're supposed to be doing by paying their dues, breaking the industry, and I mean, I got a 2025, 24 Ford Expedition bus. I think it's huge.
Yeah.
So I lined up full of wrestlers, and we have any overflow, whoever has the next reliable card behind me.
Okay.
And, we go to the shows, we help set up and do all that. So, like, that's an education in itself, just to see how this stuff works and the curtains and the sound and all that stuff that comes with pro wrestling. Even on the indies, there are some indie shows that people don't care about, but like this company I'm working for, MATW, I mean, they're one of the best promotions that I've ever worked for, especially today wrestling. Like back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago, it was okay to throw up a ring and have a DJ in the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now people expect a little bit more of like lighting and stuff, and it's really not that expensive to have a PA system and a microphones. And back in the day, it was. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a niche on that. Entertainment was a niche in all aspects.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing for young guys and girls, young women and young men that break into wrestling, you're going to get advice from everyone. You just got to be a sponge.
Sure.
And even sometimes a sponge can suck up a shitty advice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're talking to someone, check their credentials. Don't just go off of what they say and what they're doing, because they might lead you in a way where just because I'm having a conversation with you right now for your podcast, and somebody that don't like you that wants to book me is like, hey, man, sorry, you did that podcast. Like, fuck that guy. And I'm like, no, I just did it because it helps my school. It helps me. It's helping him. He's a friend. You never know how. And it's just like Hollywood, and there's so much with politics, even on the indies. If you're looking to work for companies that really try, barricades, chairs, entranceways, TV, interview segments, vignettes, a decent ring. They try. You know what I'm saying? And they put a product up. I mean, hell, MATW, I think they hang like 200 feet of curtains every show.
Really?
Yeah, around for the television, because like
that's awesome.
And that's where you look at it, okay, and then they got these giant lights. They turned out all the lights, so it's just on the ring.
Okay.
The music is always up front, and it's just, I tip my hat to them, man. Like when I got approached by the office for them, they were like, "Hey, man, that's what we want to do," and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm at a point of my life. I'm ready. Let's do that.
Hell yeah. And I will say this, in preparation for the interview, I did go through and I watched some of your latest matches.
Cool.
Some of your stuff with the Four Horsemen.
The Horsemen, yeah. Extreme Horsemen, buddy. Yeah. I love the fact that, like, everybody knows that, like, my career's been based off the coattails of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. But the cool thing is, at the beginning, it was, right? I never did the list. Thank God I wasn't like, listen, baby, let me tell you how it feels.
Right.
I'm glad I never did that, but it is really cool how I was able to sit down, talk with this man, pick his brain, get the opportunity to show him what I had and him accept it and understand what I was doing. It wasn't a ripoff. I wasn't trying to be the boog of the woods. I wasn't. And now at my career, I think I'm in my prime. That's the way I think. And I try to explain it. Body wise, I can feel stuff hurts a lot more, like my knees,
Sure, yeah.
back, everything. And it is harder, now at 36, and I'll be 37 in September.
Okay.
Jericho's 50. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a lot more time for me now that I have a 1-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be a professional wrestler, but he doesn't need to be, right?
Right.
I followed my dream. Yeah, I'm not going to push my dream onto my son to do what I'm doing.
Sure.
But I posted a TikTok, me and him were in here, did some stuff, and he got to, he crawls around and plays and loves it.
That's
and
awesome.
I love it, So
Yeah.
I think the fact that, he's in here with his dad and he grew up around a ring, can you imagine how good he's going to be? You hear of like Rey Mysterio's kids and because that's the culture in Mexico and City and stuff, they love this. This is, but can you imagine how good the knowledge he'll have at 10 years old?
Dude, he'll know a lot of stuff.
All the guys, one of my trainees, Jason and Daniel, which they're a force to be reckoned with. I'm going to give a shout out to those guys. And all the guys and girls at school are working hard, but they're they're up next to, go right behind my other two trainees, Ernad, who, is just, he'll be Intercontinental Champion before he's 25. I mean, the kid's got the drive. And then, I think I helped the industry out by producing one of a top ref for the Mid-Atlantic area, Charles Fuller. He just, he showed up here and he paid his dues. He puked. He finally let me know that, he was like, hey, man, I don't think wrestling's for me. I said, awesome. Because I see you as a referee. Let me show you things that you can do. And he wasn't. He embraced it. Everybody can't be the star. Yeah. Everybody can't be enhancement talent. Everybody can't be a tag team or whatever. You can try. But at some point, you have to tell yourself, is this going to help me in the business of professional wrestling? And, my buddy Chris Sharp, he works for the NXT WWE. Yeah, and, he's like, man, he's
big time ref.
Jim Cornette says it. Rip Rogers, anybody that knows Chris from the day, A+ guy.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that has worked his ass off and has lived, breathed this. Got pictures of him backstage at the Coliseum with, Scott Hall is his manager for one night, but Chris Sharp, the NXT referee. He's probably going to hate me for this. We've been friends since middle school. You know what I'm saying? You could be anybody, and if you reach out to him to talk to him about wrestling, he'll talk your head off. He'll talk to you about anything you want to know. But people don't realize that if you're a fan watching this, I'm not saying reach out just to be a troll or whatever. Right. But if you're trying to break into pro wrestling anywhere, refereeing, commentating, announcing, this guy works with the best program, the longest reigning program, and the highest paid, which is the WWE, right? That's what his job is. To have someone like that I can pick up the phone, right, and say, hey, Chris, I got a question. Can you help me with that? At any time. Now, he might call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, right, because he's in Orlando and we live a totally different life. But it's so much cooler just to have people that have made it further than me. Mm-hmm. But, man, you can't sit here and not look at my body of work in independent pro wrestling and my trainees, how they work out and all that stuff, and not say that I'm not making pro wrestling a great place to be around and a happy place to learn to break into the business of professional wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I will say that, speaking of your track record and things like that, there's one thing that I think that kind of sets you apart from other indie wrestlers that I've seen in my own personal viewing, and that is that when we ran for that 3 or 4 months when you trained me back in the day when you were on the road, me and a couple other guys would help set up the ring and stuff like that and watch you do your thing. And I noticed that you always wanted to get on the mic. You always wanted to talk to the fans, interact with the fans. But a lot of other indie guys wouldn't do that. And I guess I kind of want to ask, when did you realize that had to be a thing to be different? And did anybody inspire you, any wrestler or any person inspire you to do that?
You know, it goes back to learning promoting from promoters and stuff, right?
Okay.
I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Bruce Pritchard. He has a podcast and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He did like Brother Love and everything back. I'm just working you. I know you know who he is.
Exactly.
I'm not there. He's like, come on, man, let's see this. But I told him, I listened to him talk one time, and I love hearing this because he was behind the scenes with the biggest stars in the world: Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Steve Austin. Name them. He's been back there with them, and he's worked with them and everything else. I remember listening to him talk one time about Hogan must pose, is what Vince always had. Hogan's got to pose, pal. Send him home happy, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, as a baby face, you know, it's either like I just wish that everybody wouldn't try to be a tough guy in pro wrestling, right?
Sure.
Like Ace Montana's base character is that he is the people. Just like Dusty was, you know. I've been coming out to every truck stop in America, right? Because for a little bit of my lifetime, that was a shoot. You know, I drove an 18-wheeler. That's how I made a shoot living and, you know, did what I had to do. And I would go drive a semi-truck, get on my damn laptop, try to find local indies that were running shows. Hey, I got my gear with me. I'm 100 miles away.
Right.
I can come halfway, you know, until they like, you know, my company's like, hey, what are you doing? You know, pick me up, let me wrestle. And I used to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's one reason why I was able to get out and work. But grabbing the mic and you got to be different, right? You got to be different. You know, what separates the podcast that you guys do and that you're doing than anyone else is on it, right?
Right.
It's very hard. It's, you know, you can have a cool name, but if the podcast isn't interesting, you ain't got people on there that are interesting, it sucks. You're like, damn, that could have been cool. I'm not doing that again.
Man, that's why we got Big Ace Montana on here, man. We'll make it interesting. Let's go.
Champ, right? No,
All right, got the champ on. Speaking of being different,
yeah,
right? You do something that a lot of bigger guys in wrestling don't do.
Okay.
You do a moonsault off the top rope.
Big Ace Montana getting the support from the crowd. Oh, he's heading to the top rope. Wait a minute, he shouldn't be going up there. He's too big of a guy. He shouldn't be heading. What is he doing? Is he doing what I think he's going to do? Is he going to do a moonsault? Oh my God! Oh my God! Here we go. He lands the moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. Big Ace.
So yeah, what inspired you, I guess, to do that moonsault? Was it just about being different, or did you just look at the top rope one day and you say, you know what, I can do that, and you just gave it a shot?
I think I was in like Birmingham, Alabama, or Douglasville, Georgia, wrestling, and you know, it was a bunch of heavyweight guys, but no, like, and I was just like, man, I'm just not. I was like, they're just not where I want them to be. I got to bring them up. I got to get this crowd going, right? And, you know, I did the whole comeback, Dusty spot, you know, flip-flop and fly, hit the elbow. And then I just popped up, looked at the crowd, and, you want me to go up top? And they're like, yeah, you want me to do a moonsault? Not knowing I could do a moonsault. I knew this top rope would spring,
Right.
But I knew I could, when I was a kid, I could do like a half-Mitch Terry Funk moonsault on the diving board.
Yeah.
For all you kids, public pools used to have diving boards. Now they don't have this shit because I guess for the insurance reasons or whatever.
Everything's got to be safe.
Exactly. I don't think there's any peanut oil in the water either, so that's a joke. For everybody that has peanut allergies, I'm sorry. It's just a joke. But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get them to come out of their seats. You know, I started taunting. I told looked at the guy, said, "Hey man, stay there. I'm gonna do a moonsault." And he said, "You fucking kidding me? What are you talking about? You're 300 pounds. Just lay there. Don't move." So I went to the top, hit that moonsault, landed it, not an ass in the seat, hooked the 1, 2, 3, one of whatever belt it was, and that was the end of it. Then I was like, okay, cool. Now that I'm getting older, it has to mean something. Otherwise, these Disneys right here, they'll bark at me the rest of the week because it's all knees and legs when I hit that mat. You know what I'm saying? And there is a give. There is some kind of magic to the squared circle that we're in right now. But it's definitely, it hurts. At like even at my age of 36, I used to be able to crack my neck like a champ, like crack. I can't even like if I try to like give too much pressure, it hurts and stuff like that. So,
Right.
but doing the moonsault was just one day I had to get that reaction I was looking for, especially to win a belt and everybody just be like, and this is early on. This is like maybe 20 years old, 19 or 20. I think I might have been 18. I'm trying to think.
So you've been doing this moonsault for about 15 years. More.
Yeah, longer. And, it makes sense. Some guys don't like it. Why is your big ass up there? I said, well, if I hit it, it's over. I win. And if they kick out, that's
the finish.
if you kick out of that moonsault, buddy, we got an issue. Because the next move is going to really make sure you don't kick out.
Right.
And that's the issue too, is like protecting yourself. And I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think I could do it. I knew I was athletic enough to get over and do it, but it definitely makes you move. Yeah. Remember, you want to. If I give you any advice as a young wrestler breaking industry, every chance you get to paint your art on some promoter's canvas, if it is not memorable, they won't remember you. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And I will say this.
You put me over, right?
I'm gonna put you over.
You gotta do the fan psychology too. You gotta put me over.
Like I will say this. When I was running with Ace for that brief period of time that I was running with Ace, I will say that I saw you do the moonsault, which was impressive by itself.
Yeah.
But you had a bunch of indie wrestlers at the time who didn't want to take it, at least in the gigs that I was going to.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when I was watching your matches and I saw you hit this in MATW,
yep.
Man, I almost came out of my chair because I was like, oh, my God, somebody took it. That's fantastic.
Someone died.
So I was like, obviously, no one buries the moonsault. They put you over.
Yep.
You won the match. Awesome stuff. So, and again, like I want to just go back to MATW. They do have a great production on YouTube. Search them on YouTube.
Yep.
Ace has great matches on there, but it's not just Ace. They do a great production. They have a bunch of good matches on there. Please go check them out.
And you've got guys like them Dirty Dogs, the Extreme Hoffman, C.W. Anderson, and PQ, Preston Quinn. You got Doug Delicious, he's an older vet, but man, he has the hardest hitting forearm in the business. And I'm wrestling this Saturday in Suffolk, Virginia, I think it is, for MATW. We're going to be up close to DC on Saturday, so I've got to wrestle him. But you got him. You got guys, up-and-comers like Blade Brown. Chris Prince is one of that kid that took my moonsault.
Okay.
Him. You got a tag team by the name of Whiskey Business. Those guys are just killing it with the gimmicks, and they mean business. They're good dudes.
Sweet.
And trying to put anybody else over on the show that I can. That you got that that Monster Manowar. He's and Salazar as his mouthpiece. I mean, that guy. Jesus Christ, that guy's one of the best managers besides Neil Sharkey I've seen since I've been doing this. I mean, his love and drive for detail of costumes to match his guys. It's like a Peruvian because it's like a Peruvian Bobby Heenan. He's just that good,
Wow. All right.
And I wanted to put a couple of the guys over for sure. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some people that get upset if they see this, but I mean, I named enough of them where, if you get a chance to come out and check out MATW, check us out. It's great promotion and hard hitting wrestling, family fun, and you enjoy it. It isn't like there's no light tubes, there's no million super kicks in a match. I mean, you're getting old school ground and pound heavyweight wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
What? So, in other words, Jim Cornette wouldn't call it a mud show. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Jim Cornette, right? And I've had the privilege of getting completely blasted, which I'll send that picture. You can put it in here.
Okay.
Getting the opportunity to get drunk with him multiple times.
Awesome.
And have good conversations about indie wrestling and pro wrestling. A lot of the guys that I've worked for and the friends that I've worked with him, he you never know what he's going to say, and you got to, here's the problem I tell people about. Like, you can like him or love him, but all he's ever done was pro wrestling. And it's made sense. He's done a couple of shoot jobs like we all did in the beginning, but he made it to the dance, brother. He's been doing this a long time, and I understand. It's real hard to like see me in the prime of where I'm at in my 30s and hear guys talking about Jim Cornette and people like that on the indies where I'm like, fans get to do that. They pay their money for merchandise, podcast, whatever. Fans get to say whatever they want about you because they paid the money to make us money and to do the shows.
Sure.
I don't like hearing people that are in the business behind the curtain talk about people of, he's stuck in his ways and the world isn't like that. Yeah, but he still helped pave the road you're in. So, like, show the respect. And, I'm with that with a lot of guys in the indies. And everybody knows me and shares a locker room with me. Nowadays, it isn't like when I was a younger kid, and that's how it should be. But anytime I can pull a kid aside and say, hey, man, you're going to fuck yourself royally, take it from me. Shut up.
Shut up. Right.
Shut the fuck up and do yourself a favor. Because in 10 years, you'll come back and be like, Mr. Montana, thank you so much. I'm like, I wish someone was that for me, Some guys listen, some guys don't. But, it's the world of pro wrestling it's crazy, man. Like, it's even now, even everything that's going on, it's just, you look at this and you go, they can have the worst idea one show and the next idea blow your socks off. Give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
Hear them out. What's it going to do? I remember one time my mother, we were young, I think 8 years old. Ric Flair was somewhere. And I said, Mom, I don't want to ask for his autograph because I'm too scared. And she's like, I tell you no all the time. The worst thing you can say is no, right? Mr. Flair, any autograph. No, kid, could bother me. All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate you. And then of course, he was like, hey, kid, come here, sign autograph. Flair, that was a whole different man than what we see now and what we've done in the last 10, 15 years. Sure. Yeah. So.
Okay. So with MATW, some things have, probably changed in your life, I would assume, now that you're, going to their shows and you're more exclusive with them.
Only them.
So you are exclusive with them.
I do. We sat down and talked. They told me what their plan was with me and what we were going to do. And, man, I don't want to say, like, it ain't like I'm making WCW money like the guys were back in the early 2000s, late 90s. But the idea of getting to go to wrestling for a quality promotion, maybe 2 or 3 hour drive, and not have, because like back in the day, we're talking 2006, 7, 8, you tried to wrestle everywhere because their Facebook and stuff wasn't huge yet.
Yeah.
I think MySpace was still like, whatever the top 8s and all that stuff was.
Right.
So you tried to wrestle as many shows and anywhere you could.
Okay.
Now I think it's more quality over quantity because you can go live at any time and get your character over.
Sure.
You can do vignettes yourself. You can edit yourself. I mean, I edit a lot of my stuff I do on TikTok and everything off an app my daughter showed me. And that's where it's kind of like, so, when I found out what they wanted to do and how they wanted to make this happen and like the quality of what they were going to do, I mean, it was like, okay, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's make this happen this way. Because, I mean, you can go look at their stuff. It's the packages are put together, the promo shots, the vignettes, the interviews. I mean, it gives an old school pro wrestling feel to it. And that's, I think, I'm just exclusive to them. I don't take any bookings from any other promotions, except I did do one for a friend of mine in Richmond, which was 40 minutes away.
Okay.
And that's for charity. So it's, I'll put that plug in there, Pumps for Presents.
Okay.
With RVA Wrestling. So they do a thing with like the breweries around Richmond where they raise money to get kids Christmas presents.
Okay, that's
and
awesome.
Pumps for Presents. So, I mean, obviously I'm going to do that because they're friends and it's for a good cause.
Yeah.
But other than that, you won't see Ace Montana and, the armories in North Carolina. You won't see me at anything, down. I told them the only way that I will work a show is if they beat their money. right? If I'm making a bunch of money, it's for a national, like AEW wants me to do a dark match or an extra spot, WWE, TNA, any of the places that are big, I will do that. And some of the conventions too, because you can make some good money, just by doing a weekend there too. So,
Absolutely.
and I got, so much in the chamber too, which I'm sure we'll talk about down, in this interview down the road or today. But, I think it's that being exclusive to a promotion that tries, it really mentally helps me, especially since I have the school and I'm here 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays. I'm not only a father to a 1-year-old son, a husband, a trainer. I mean, you think when I opened the school, I didn't know you would be a trainer, a therapist, a consultant, kind of play a dad and father role to them. And that's fine. I get it now. And I see it helps people out a lot. And that's just what comes with the territory. But, I live and breathe pro wrestling now, and that's super cool. It's an honor that I get to do this because there is no shoot job. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no shoot job for me. I got hustles that I do, and I got, I invested into a card shop here in Richmond area locally to do, flip some stuff and get into it and learn that.
Yeah.
But it's been real good for me. And then also doing pro wrestling full time now. And by full time, I mean wrestling pretty much every weekend and then through the week. And then the very next day, I'm out here with 20 men and women. All right, push ups, sit ups, jumping jacks. All right, after the workout's done, get in water, get ready, get your boots on. And, all my students have wrestling boots, the title boxing ones. I make them go out and get a pair. I said, they're not patent leather pro wrestling boots yet, but you're going to learn how to lace them. You're going to wear them. You're going to wipe your feet before you get in the canvas. You're going to respect this ring, and it gives them that opportunity to, do that type of stuff.
I love it. So with MATW,
Okay.
I know that, well, I'll say it this way.
Okay.
You're a little bit more jacked than you were.
I'm not as fat. I'm still a fat guy, but I am kind of like, I'm building it. I'm trying to hold my own with, you got guys like Blade Brown and, that are just jacked to the moon. But go ahead, answer your question.
Well, I was going to ask, how has your workout routine changed?
Well, I'm doing this 3 days a week. So obviously you're going to shed some pounds. I've always been a big guy. I'm 6'1". I've been 330 to 390, all up and down 300. I'm finally under 300. I'm about like, on a good day, we can say 290, between 290 295, which is just under. But now that I'm going to the gym here, the Planet Fitness, that's not that far from the house, doing the tanning, I'm going to start getting in better shape. Okay. I want to look at the end of my career, which I should have done it when I was in my early 20s and shit. But, life is what it is. I want to be happy with the way I look, even though you hear, oh, man, don't change your ways. You're different. Okay, I hear you, but I still don't want like a gallon of milk and, underwear trunks. I still want to look tan.
Right.
I still want to get, I think for a 36-year-old chubby guy, I'm a big dude. Put it this way, right? I'm not a Bam Bam Bigelow, but you're not going to come knocking at the door with me thinking that I'm just some pushover guy, for sure.
Yeah.
But, the workout routine is, I work out with the guys, we stretch, we get in here, and we wrestle. You know what I'm saying? We learn how to do it safely. Mm-hmm. And, by the time I do recover from Tuesday, it's Thursday again. And by the time I recover from Thursday, it's Saturday show. And after that, you get home late or whatever the case may be. Sunday, you walk. I got a golf cart now. I used to have to walk from the house about 5 acres away. And I got a golf cart now because, by Sunday, pulling in, I'm like, all right, guys, workout, here we go. And, we do a pretty cool workout here. I don't know if it's true, but I heard it through the grapevine years ago that, like, Jimmy Snuka, when he did training for guys, they had, like, a card of 52 cards. Mm-hmm. So I got a deck of cards, and, like, I'll pull it out, all right. And usually to get through it quick enough, I'll do, like, 3 cards, open them up, and, like, Jack, King, Queen. Those are all 10s and stuff like that. But then the number ones, I'll add up 3 cards and be like, all right, cool, 26 squats, go.
Oh,
They
okay.
count them out. All right, next 3 cards. Okay, 32 push-ups. Go. And we go through a whole playing card deck, and you know I build the stamina they need to get in the ring and be able to hold this, their own in the ring and get up there. And I may not do all the workouts with them, but I do enough, 3 days a week and going to the gym where, wrestling will get you in shape if you do it full time.
Yep.
Enough where once or twice, and that's the thing I tell guys is like, if you got a wrestling school and you're already a pro wrestler, go to the school, work it out with somebody close to your local promoter or whatever, or your wrestling school, and he may not have you pay the upfront cost if you're already working and been a wrestler, and you might be able to like, okay, cool, well, let's just give you $10 for ring time and get in there and work out with the new rookies, and that's what I'm able to do. I have, a deal worked out with guys that are already trained that they don't have to if I can verify their training. Let me be that for sure. Like, you got to be an active pro wrestler. You can't just say, oh, I do this, that, and the third, and I was trained by this guy, and then I check and see if you are, and then you're not. It's like, okay, cool, now you're lying to me.
Right.
Whole different ballgame. But, definitely get out there because you'll whip your ass into shape. I definitely feel good. I will feel better about another 80 pounds. I'd say about 60 pounds off. I feel a lot better on my knees and my back. But right now, that's pretty much all I'm doing is a little bit at the gym, of course, weightlifting, and then the wrestling 3 days a week. But either it's on a show or 3 days a week training guys and being in here, taking back elbows, showing them how to do it. They're taking the heat for sure.
Yeah.
But when I got to get in here to show a bunch of guys, like, hey, no, do it this way. This is why. Then I'll get in there. So I mean, there's not a week or that goes by that I'm not bumping in a wrestling ring. So that's really fucking cool. You know.
I will say this: last time I was here, I took 2 bumps. I was sore the next day. It will get you in shape, and it will hurt you, man. I mean, you get used to the bumps eventually, but if you do it just once, you're gonna hurt. You gotta build the muscles up.
Yeah, and like the women that were here, they kept kind of like, at first, boy, they were hitting these ropes like champs, and then by mid-time, I look at everybody, I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, I think I got a bruise. Like, yeah, you're gonna have bruise.
They do have a bruise.
But once you get callous to the bumps and hitting the ropes and taking it's an art form that will never quit hurting. That's the crazy thing about, I think, wrestlers and wrestling people that it's really cool to be a fan, but to be a pro wrestler, men or women, you got to be crazy because this is not, and I think I'm psycho because you think I put this on my property and, this is what I do. So it's you got to be willing to love it to the point of no return. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, for younger guys, you may not know what we're talking about, but the Matrix. You're either going to take the red pill and wake up and or you're going to take the blue pill and you're going to see what it really is. So I think when they gave me that option when I was young, I think I took the whole bottle of the blue pill and just was like, there you go. So,
and I will say this to your point, you do have to be crazy to do this. I was in pain the next day, like I was saying, and my girl was like, "Oh, I can't believe you're in pain. I can't believe you're in pain." And I said, "I love every second of this.
Oh yeah,
I love it. So you got to be crazy."
Yeah, the itch never quits. Even though we did what we did back then, it really doesn't. If you try to get into this, you have some guys that just continue to try for years and years. They'll talk a big game, and that's what I tell my students too. I let them know. I said, guys and girls, you are the 1%ers of professional wrestling. You put down the action figures, you put down the controller, you put down wanting to go to every live event, and you said, you know what, I could do this. You found a school, you paid your dues, you're doing it, you're here every week. You're the 1% of people that go, oh, I want to be a pro wrestler. Because anybody else would be like, and like, I hate when I see, the legendary guys be like, why would you want to do that? That's stupid. Don't get in this business. Like, you're still making money off of it. And here we are 40 years, you not doing it, And, so I think a lot of guys have a lot of bad a bad taste left in their mouth from when they got out or whatever. But the whole industry has changed now, where it's not as bad as it used to be. You know what I'm saying?
So speaking of some bad parts of the industry,
Okay.
I understand that you had a run-in with the infamous Teddy Hart.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And this is a big story that came out obviously
Yeah.
3 years ago, and people have had you on the podcast. Obviously, you haven't told the story on this podcast, so I was hoping that you could just go over it a little bit, and maybe if you have an update for maybe where Teddy Hart is, or if there was any legal ramifications, could you kind of unpack that for us?
Well, I mean, it was like one of the biggest breaks I got in wrestling, which I wish that wasn't the break that I got. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I had a guy call me, said, "Man, this is your moment. Jump on it." I got to be on the Hannibal's podcast, and he was asking me questions. And I have a brother. Excuse me. I have a brother, man, that is a bipolar manic depressive, right? And I struggle with adult ADHD. Like I've had it since I was a kid and all that stuff. That I take medication for, and it helps me like focus and get tasks done and stuff like that. Teddy needs help, and everybody knows that. You can hear him talk.
Sure.
Everybody can tell. I mean, that guy that put the documentary out, I think that was kind of like, hey, I got all this fucking footage. I need to make some money on it.
Yeah.
That's what that was. Everybody can tell that in the business wise, but if you're not a wrestling fan and what's this on, Netflix or whatever, you'll see, he tried to cover his ass a lot in that special with, when they were doing that. Because I watched it because I was like, hey, they dropped your name in. And I was like, no, they didn't. Because he called me and I told him no. Like, I wasn't going to sign anything. Like,
Right.
Pay me, brother. This is going to be somewhere like that. Because you're worried about is money. No, it's the business, brother. That's the difference. Even on the indies, you got to make some money.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this shit for free. I damn sure ain't training guys for free, But, it was a scary moment. I broke Maria into the wrestling business. I was one of her first stops on her road to wrestling. I helped her out as much as I could. She was back in town. She started dating him. Then I turned around and, she thought she was going to, stay a little bit longer or whatever. And I got the call or a text message said, help. I never got that from her ever.
Yeah.
And now, by that point, she was the man eater from ROH doing all the death matches and stuff. So for me, it was weird to see that from her. Tried to call, nothing. I was like, well, I know where they're at in the Airbnb. So I was like, check this out. I went up there, knocked on the door, and Teddy Hart was dressed with a fedora, not a fedora, but a princess crown was on his head.
Like a tiara kind of thing?
A tiara. That's
Tiara?
what, yeah. And I was like, hey man, what's up? He goes, oh, nothing, that big ace, nothing, brother. Yeah. Because I met him a couple of days before, and this because he got popped for having, I think it was steroids or some kind of drug, so he couldn't leave. So that was the gimmick.
Oh, gotcha.
I said, let me talk to Maria. Oh, she's sleeping right now. I said, yeah, well, I got to holler at her anyways. He said, we'll just come back in a little while. And I said, I'm coming in there either way. So you gotta let me know what you want to do. So by this point, I could tell that the living room was turned upside down. I was like, okay, I know what's going on here. So, by the time I saw her laying in between the kitchen hallway into the back of this house, I was like, all right, cool. That's enough for me. I pulled out my gun, told him to get his fucking ass away from me.
Sure.
And I said, dude, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm not joking. Because she wasn't responding. When I come to, she was like picking her head up and covered in choking marks, eyes were bloodshot red. Dog was losing its mind. And then I found out later, like he, threw her dog in the room and locked her in because it was trying to attack him.
Yeah.
And then, then she puts out a thing. It was a real fucking mess. How about that? We'll put it in a real fucking mess. I wish them both the best of luck. I hope Teddy gets help. I hope Maria is safe and happy wherever she's at. She kind of vanished from the whole wrestling scene, which I think was a great thing for her family, and everyone involved. I had Bruce Hart reached out to me, on Messenger, and all that stuff. And, I've been a fan of your families. I still watch, Stampede Wrestling on YouTube and other, tapes that I've got.
Yeah.
I said, this is not what I've ever wanted to do. I've always respected y'all's family. I was always a Hart, kid. I loved wrestling and watching Brett and, the Bulldog. Pillman and Bill and all the guys.
Sure.
And to see to have that cross my path in this world that we live in, and then all of it ain't no secret. He had, I told him to get him and his fucking juice box up the road, and that's where a T-shirt came, and popcorn out on his podcast when it was, what it was, and a couple of superstars from the WWE reached out to me and said, "Hey man, you killed me with that fucking juice box line." And yeah, I wish I could have. At that time, I wish I was such in a bad place financially and life and everything too. What was going on? It was just like, okay, let me just try to like bow out and get this thing, let this cool off,
Kind of thing.
Yeah, because everybody said, "Oh, is it a work?" I'm like, "Oh, no, it wasn't a work. I'm about to kill one of these heart kids or whatever, or grandkids or nephews or whatever he is to them." And it just sucks that he put his hands on her, which that's the no cardinal rule. You don't hit women or children, and he did it. And a couple of places reached out to me, interviewed me with it, or wanted to interview about it and do some stuff, and I just did a couple of them. I did the ones that counted though, like Hannibal. I knew was a big following,
Sure,
and stuff like that. So it was definitely, a very, very sad time for everyone that's involved, and plus the families and everything like that. And then the documentary came out months later, I think, or a year later, maybe. But it was definitely hard to have to do that, and it sucked. But wrestling is a work.
Yeah.
Real life still exists.
Yes.
For all of them. I think I just saw that Billy Jack Haynes, he just killed his wife.
Yeah.
Wasn't he on the first WrestleMania?
Yes, he was. He was on the first WrestleMania, and he was 81. His wife, I believe, was, if I'm wrong about this, I apologize, but I believe his wife was 72, 73.
And who knows why? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know. I thought I've heard 2 years ago that Vern Gagne, he passed away too, right?
I believe so, yeah.
But he killed some guy in the nursing home, choked him out. I guess he had a flashback of, the good old days or something, which isn't funny, but I mean, it just ain't cool,
Yeah.
And I think we were hitting on this conversation too, or I said it to you, fans of pro wrestling and the business side. I mean, pro wrestling's not Nickelodeon.
Right.
There's a reason why Disney didn't buy the WWE.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? The WWE is not. It's for families, and let's say, okay, we can do PG-13, but there was a time when it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then before that time, they didn't care if there was racism, sexism,
Sure.
inappropriate language. So it's not. There's a reason why the Disney company said, "Oh no, we're good. We're good. We'll take Marvel, we'll take National Geographic, and all this other stuff, but y'all can just do whatever, And I think I think it's TKO bought everybody. It's well, let's see. You know what I'm saying? Because the wrestling business is supposed to be fun for families to come out and enjoy it, but backstage, obviously, everything that's going on with like Billy Jack Haynes and like the Teddy Hart thing that I was involved in, it's not Nickelodeon and it's not Nick at Night. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a crazy business.
Yep. So I would be kind of remiss if I did not mention, in any way, shape, or form, I would be remiss if I didn't mention John Porkchop Johnson.
Oh yeah, old bacon and eggs, 1/2, baby.
Old bacon and eggs. Your old tag team partner. Between the time that you and I last saw each other, he tragically passed away.
Yep, complications of diabetes. He wouldn't manage it correctly.
Is that what it does?
Yeah, that's what it was. He, he would double up on them shots in the morning, but he would still eat what he wanted, drink what he wanted, and it's another reason too why I know getting in shape now. I don't want to have those issues or complications. Food's not worth it. Sweets ain't worth it. Some people struggle with it though. I think he did. Yeah, it was a tough time, man. It was like, because, I don't think the Ace Montana sitting next to you right now would be here if it wasn't for John Johnson, a.k.a. Pork Chop. And he was loved. Matter of fact, when Ricky Morton school, they contacted me and said, "Hey, we want to do like a memory, kind of like a thing for them here at the school. Is there anything we could get?" I sent them a ring jacket, a pair of boots, and I think they did like a shadow box and hung it up in the school, which is really cool. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone. If you met Pork Chop Johnson, aka John Johnson, was the shoot. Everyone loved him. He was just a sunshine. Never had a bad thing to say. He would get fed up with people. Don't get me wrong. We get in a car and I'd get to hear that Charlottesville mountain come out. That mountain man come out of him being raised like that.
Yeah.
And it was super cool to like hear him get upset about it. That stupid motherfucker couldn't understand couldn't do a wrist lock, a wrist swipe. He'd get all bit out of shape and stuff like that. So it sucks, and we were inseparable,
Yeah.
and it makes you appreciate everything. Like me and you can get done with this interview and leave, and we're not guaranteed to ever see each other ever again.
True.
And I wish we would just, it's easier said than done in some sense of like how we're gonna remember people in this world, but God forbid, hurting or hating someone or whatever over the dumbest shit is just it's too. I mean, you can do it, but you're only hurting yourself in the long run. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel in my heart of hearts that if I heard this from a pretty smart guy that has nothing to do with pro wrestling, but you can only love as much as you can forgive. And that's a real eye opener of like, oh shit, that's not a real easy thing to like. You try to say that in the mirror when you're saying, you love people to death, or I love you so much. And you're okay. Well, and it's the truth. If you think about it, love as much as you can forgive. And I'm not saying that you can't forget what people have done to you and have it in a sense of like it's a bad thing, but you gotta so sooner or later you gotta like shit or get off the pot, as they say, or go ahead and just take that leap of faith of just understanding how life works. But he was a good friend of mine. He was a wrestler. I broke him into business. I trained him from day one. We had our ups and downs. I mean, it was just a whole bunch of stuff, but calling his father that night and having to tell a grown man that your son is dead was the hardest thing I ever did. Hearing his mother scream, his daughter on the phone weeping, and all that stuff, and then having to do other allegations outside of the wrestling business of, taking care of some of his final stuff.
Yeah.
It was really hard. And, I'm not the only wrestler that ever lost someone they loved in the business. I'm not the only person in the world, but I mean, if you've lost someone, that you can understand that it was really hard. My wife was able to help me set up a GoFundMe. I think we raised like maybe, I don't know if it's 16 or like 26,000. I went directly to his parents and stuff. That's how they set it up. So that was super cool, and people came out of the woodwork. I mean, it just sucks, man.
Yeah.
But John, I'll see you again, but hopefully not too soon, Daddy. And I love you, and I can't wait till we get to sit there and talk about wrestling again. And, just making the drives when we did it. That's what we hope for. On the other end of it. Because I tell you what, it's gonna be a sad day, right? Like me and you are young guys, but it's gonna be weird waking up one day when Flair's gone.
True.
It's gonna be weird when Hogan's not here no more, or Bret Hart, or Sting, or people that you love to see at these conventions, or like it's just like, wow, that's crazy. That's gonna happen, and I don't, you don't want it to happen to nobody, but then you look at it and it's just like Bray Wyatt, just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that was like, what? Like how? No way.
Yeah. There's not one person that saw it coming. Could have predicted that.
No one's. And the fact that I think there's a video I was watching someone put on TikTok of like Booker T, and they were doing a podcast, and like right then when they were live.
Oh yeah, they told Booker T.
Yeah, you could just tell it. His brain wasn't like it wasn't connected, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, Booker T still does the commentary, so he probably saw him not too long ago and stuff like that, where it was like, And when I got the call from the apartment complex, like, hey, you're on the emergency contact. We have to open the door. You know, there's stuff that we need to check out. Police are on the way.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Who the fuck's ribbing me right now?
Right.
Right?
The worst rib in history.
Yeah,
Right?
your brain wants to go there because you don't want it to be true. So, as a wrestler and wrestling involved with it, it's just kind of like, man, that's. But you remember the good times.
Yep.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be the man I am today. If it wasn't him, I wouldn't be in this school that I'm having built and trying to get off the ground. Because John, you know, like I said, he funded the whole front, the very first one that you were involved. He funded the whole bill to get that going. I couldn't have done it, but I was like, let's try. Yeah. And I mean, I paid him back, but it still was very hard, you know, especially when you don't own the building and stuff. It's hard to do something like this.
Sure.
You know, especially back then, no one wanted to be a wrestler. So, I love him. I miss him. I know anybody that's ever met him like you that, you know, he was a great guy. Yep. But, you know, we'll see him again, hopefully.
Yeah, great dude, encyclopedia of wrestling. There wasn't one question I could ever ask him that he didn't know the answer to.
I don't know why we never videoed that. Like in my brain, I don't know why I never did. Because you could be like, I remember I was like, John, in 1956, on November 12th, who was the heavyweight champion of NWA? Yep. And he would go, oh, let me think about that. It was, I guess that would be like Nick Bockwinkel was AWA. And he would like connect it and be like, oh, that was this. And I was like,
he had it all in his head.
How? And because you're talking about the love of the business and studying.
Yeah. So, John Porkchop Johnson, rest in peace. We love
Bacon and eggs. We'll see you again, brother.
All right. So, we'll switch gears. I got a couple more questions for you. We'll try to end on a
Hogan must pose, pal. Happy note. Send him home happy.
Hogan must pose. So we'll do a couple easy, you know,
standard question.
Home run questions.
There we go.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh. You caught me off guard. Mount Rushmore. Dusty, Andre, Roddy Piper. And he can be from any era, right?
Any era, doesn't matter.
Gorgeous George would be my final one.
Why do you say Gorgeous George?
Man, you're talking about someone who understood it before there was an Andre the Giant. Or at least if Andre and them kind of were the same gimmick, Andre wasn't too far behind. But Gorgeous George got the work.
Okay.
Hair curlers, robes, don't touch me. I mean, you can go back and watch it today, and they'll do stuff from then. That is, if guys would just, I teach my guys this all the time. You know, the guys last night that we were working with, they just couldn't, the gears couldn't line up to really have a good session, and sometimes that happens, right? We watched Bret Hart versus Sting. Sting had a goatee. It was really fucking weird. But
that had to be late WCW, right?
Yeah. And there was more punching kicks and stomping hands and working corners than just super kick, superplex, springboard, off the top, roll throughs, pass by, super kick again, DDT, kip up, jump to the rope, moonsault off, hurricane rana, found it outside, come back in, slide in, hit the ropes, pass by again, springboards off the top, hits an RKO, 1-2, kick out, gets back up, ducks the clothesline, small package, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was more of a work, a fight, an understanding of like, okay, this is Hill Bret Hart, Sting's fed up, you know, it's in the wolf pack, so he don't have to play by the good guy, babyface wolf, or rules, if you would, if it was black and white Sting or bleach blonde Sting, which, shout out to Sting for having his last match.
Yep,
Icon. One of my students actually went and saw it live, so that was super cool. And, you know, man, we live in a world where we live off of, it's hard to say goodbye. You know, I know Sting's made plenty of money in wrestling where if this is goodbye, but, you know, Flair had one of the best goodbyes ever in the history of this business, and next week he was working for TNA.
Yeah, right,
so, like money runs out, and if you can make money, it's a business, brother. But I just want to say congratulations to him and his career, because, I mean, I was a super huge fan when that Crow gimmick came. That was the burn, buddy. WDX, the WWF, Chainsaw Charlie, Cactus Jack. Then you go over to WCW where it was Sting and the NWO and Hogan was just some of the best fucking work and just everything. So it was really cool to sit down and watch him, tip my hat to him. And, we always wanted to go out. Everybody wants to go out with a bang or it's ready to explode or what do they say? It's ready to burn out or explode and fade away.
Yeah.
And some guys can fade away. It's okay to fade away,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, my Mount Rushmore consists of guys of, if you want me to, there's no wrong answer here for anybody. It's just who I think, Piper was uncanny of pushing the envelope at a time where from kicking her in the head, Cyndi Lauper, to half painted black body, coming out and just the way he talked and, Gorgeous George was the pioneer of pro wrestling. And, you could say that someone before him did it, but it's like, well, it's like, years later, Elvis didn't write none of his songs. Yeah, but he sung them.
Right. It's what meant the most to the individual, to
Correct.
you, right?
Correct.
So,
You can look, you go check out Undertaker's Mount Rushmore and, how can you as the Undertaker have a Mount Rushmore and not put yourself on it? You know what I'm saying?
right.
And I'm no one special and wrestling wise, at least to like the level that we know wrestling and stuff like that. But my Mount Rushmore isn't too exciting, but if I had to do a Mount Rushmore, it has to do why. So Piper for pushing the envelopes and just being that heel. Who did I say? I said Piper,
Andre,
Dusty, and Gorgeous George. Hogan's on plenty of them.
Yeah.
My Mount Rushmore could be different.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
On everybody's,
Hogan's on everybody. I love Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, best guy ever in pro wrestling history to make money and push this thing. And, people want to give him shit all the time. But, brother, he knew how to work.
Yeah.
And just because he did business, that's the difference people don't realize is we only, as fans, we only want to scrutinize and hear the backstage stuff. How did he make you feel when he was NWO beating up Sting?
Right.
Or where, when he was the good guy ripping out his shirt trying to, beat up the bad guys in the golden day. Like, we judge people in pro wrestling by the person they are behind the curtain, which you shouldn't, right? We have to live the gimmick. You have to. People talk about Ace Montana all the time. It's not much of a gimmick. I'm boisterous, loud, over the top, getting older, but I still love being who I am in front of I know now to tone it down. I know to shut it off, and that was really hard. But between movie, acting, and wrestling, real big different world,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
So my Mount Rushmore is different. Hogan's on a lot of other ones, so I don't have to put him and feel bad about it.
Hey, I love it. I love the difference.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to hear other ones because I'm going to follow, like, and subscribe to the page and all that good stuff. But I can't wait to hear other people's stuff. You can do wrestlers, or anybody, even fans. You'd like to hear what people think. And I mean, if it wasn't for the fans, we would be nobody. This would be a really weird business.
True. So speaking of people who, and I already got two more for you.
Okay.
But speaking of people who, maybe there's a difference between their on-screen personality and their off-screen personality. A lot of the people that watch the podcast are really interested in the Vince McMahon allegations. Everyone has an opinion. Right now, I'm sure you know that they're allegations, and Vince McMahon denies all wrongdoing, respectfully. But do you have any kind of opinion on the allegations? Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share?
I don't work for the company. I don't think I'm ever going to get a chance to work for the company. I'm never going to say never.
Sure.
Obviously, this bitch, you don't want to. So I don't want to bury myself, even though he doesn't have nothing to do with the company anymore. And the allegations are, what is it? I think he was doing sex trafficking to a young lady that worked for him.
Basically,
a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And he hasn't been proven guilty, correct?
No, there has been no trial right now. As I understand it, there's just a federal investigation.
So if it comes back false, then what?
Right.
Everyone that buried him and said he was a piece of shit and all that stuff, then what? Then what do you say? Oh, well, he's still a piece of shit, but he paid someone off. We can say that stuff all the time. You're going to hear it. If he does get proven guilty, then obviously, you do the crime, you got to do the time, you lose all status. It is what it is. Am I saying that I'm giving Vince McMahon any kind of I'm not going to sit here and be like, fuck the guy. We live in a world, right, that has a justice system, correct?
Sure, yeah.
And what's the number one rule of it all?
Innocent until proven
guilty. So I don't know any of the allegations that are true or false. People that may have worked with him in the past may have a different outcome of what they saw, but I bring it all clockwork, like Terry Funk said about wrestling. This is not Disney. This is not Nickelodeon. Wrestling is a fucking carnival.
Sure.
Of everything that's wrong and right in wrestling is under the same tent. And it always will be, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you're a woman, a man, a transgender, non-binary. I mean, you have all this stuff that it affects everything. And then what you say to people will affect their mood. You're not going to please everyone. And that's where, even with your podcast, you might get somebody like, hey, I'm a big fan, but fuck that Ace Montana guy. Right. If you don't take that down, I'm not going to fucking subscribe. It's like, brother, I'm just making content. I just interview people. Yeah. It's just like if Dr. Phil interviews a serial killer. Well, Dr. Phil, I knew the ladies, that guy, so you got to get that off there or I'm not going to be a fan no more. Well, sorry, brother, I can't.
Right.
I can't please everyone, and you're not going to please everyone.
Yeah.
I hope it's not true. I hope he didn't do those bad things. I hope that, he's not that guy. Because he changed wrestling. If it wasn't for him, there would be nothing.
Do you think it's easier for people to believe it because of his on-screen persona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 100%. I think you hit the nail right on the head. It doesn't help when your daughter is doing an interview and she talks about how, no, Dad, you're not going to be the father of my kid on camera. It doesn't help your fact if we're going to, be adults about this and watch this. The kids ain't going to watch this. They're not going to know anything. Yeah. But, Vince, when he became that character, right, it was at a time in wrestling where anything was anything. No holds barred. How about that?
Yeah.
That's what wrestling was then. Mm-hmm. From Shawn Michaels stuffing his pants to DX coming out painted as the fucking Nation of Domination.
Oh, yeah.
We don't talk about that.
No one wants to talk about that.
No one wants to talk about how Hunter Helmsley, X-Pac all came out as blackface.
Right.
If we're going to be, politically correct and talk about stuff. Val Venus getting his dick chopped off when I was a kid. I remember. And then it went black. I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
And then the commentary on that against the Japanese or Korean. I don't want to say that what they're not, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ain't gonna make everybody happy. And I know we kind of veered off a little bit, but sure. I don't think until Vince is like, yes, he did it. He's proven guilty. These are the allegations. I'm not gonna mix real life with entertainment. Because can you imagine being Vince McMahon and it not be true, but everybody thinks it is?
Yeah.
Who was that wrestler that used to come out with big calves? Bada Boom, realest man in the room. What was his name?
Enzo Amore.
Enzo Amore. I mean, that little girl said he raped her. They tore his face off the trailer.
Yep.
They took him off the show the day of. 2 weeks later, false accusation. Yeah. And she got her for the rest of her life. I'm sure she's going to be paying a long time on that mistake. Yeah. But instantly gone, and it ruined his career. He's never made a comeback. He's done some stuff I saw, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But it's a weird business. Yeah. Just like a lot of people, if you're a promoter and these young women in wrestling or transgender women or whatever, and I'm not trying to be sneaky about it or say something crazy, but you better be crossing your T's and dotting your I's on every conversation and shit like that, because the world of pro wrestling is a whole different ball game. And I think this as a reporter, as a podcaster, as a fan, and as a someone that loves the business of pro wrestling. It doesn't shock me anymore.
Yeah.
When they said Vince was shitting on women, I was like, well,
could be
your cup of tea, man. I don't know what you're into.
Sure.
But It's a real big industry that is never going to be Walt Disney World or Walt Disney. It ain't ever going to be Walt Disney, Nickelodeon. It's not for the faint at heart.
Yeah.
It's always going to be pro wrestling where it's who came by.
Right.
Women getting fucking power drive in ECW, tits falling out. You know, I mean, we're trying to put something in a box that is so extremely different than a box.
Yeah.
You're just going to tear the box apart. And that's where I think everyone's fucking up.
Yeah.
Like what you like. Follow the wrestlers you want to follow. Enjoy the industry. The fans that love pro wrestling want pro wrestling news. It's not as glamorous as people think. When the latest thing drops, I can understand not covering something. And you're like, no, that's not what I want to do on my podcast. But I mean, can't, you know.
Yeah,
if Undertaker was standing behind us this whole time and we didn't acknowledge him not one time, or like, why is fucking Mark Callow sitting up there and they said shit about it, we're just talking like this. Yeah. Okay, thanks guys, have a good night. What the fuck was working the whole time? Just standing there like this is crazy.
Right.
So you gotta acknowledge it and stuff like that. Yeah. I hope Vince gets a fair shake. I think his years of media. Doesn't his wife work is in the Senate?
She's in politics, yeah. Yep.
You know, are they divorced? No.
They've been separated since about 2010.
Oh, so she's golden. She's fine. I feel bad for Linda. If it's real, I feel bad for Linda. But you know, now that I know that, then yeah, she's golden. And you know, men make mistakes, women make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes. But hopefully, it isn't a mistake that hurts people and it makes you look like a piece of shit. Because if he did do it, fuck him. He's a piece of shit. Yeah. Just like Chris Benoit, right? That's a taboo thing to bring up this late in wrestling. But I'll bring it up. People ask me all the time, hey, what do you think about Chris Benoit? I said, I'm nobody. I met him one time, right? Met Chris Benoit one time. I was young enough. I snuck into the Richmond Coliseum on Monday Night Raw. I talked to Lillian Garcia. Tommy Dreamer gave me the heads up not to ask people for autographs if you're going to get caught because he knew what was up, right? And then I went backstage around there, the big circle rock around thing on the bottom. That Coliseum's closed down now.
Yeah.
And he was in a red polo and blue jeans. He was coming out of the room. He was like, Chris. Ran up to him, shook his hand. He's like, oh, thanks, kid. Have a good night. I walked away. That was the only time and I was a kid then, right?
Yeah.
That's when we were staying at the Coliseum when the box office were trying to get front row seats because we didn't know how to do the ticket master yet. So we would buy our tickets at the Coliseum to go watch wrestling. And but I was a kid then, right? No one ever knew what was going to happen or whatever. But I mean, I don't have to sit here and talk bad about it because everyone else has. You know, I just prefer people to watch what Paul Heyman said about him as the performer, best top 5 in the industry ever of all time. As a human being, fuck him.
Yeah.
You know, only one person had a choice that night. So that's how I feel upon it. You know, I have kids, I have daughters, I have sons. So pro wrestling's not Disney World. I've said it enough now that people should know pro wrestling is not Disney, it's not Nickelodeon, and when you want to break in the industry, you are not that character you've been creating for the last 15 years.
Right.
And I tell that religiously to guys that break into the industry.
Yep. So Big Ace, last question for you.
Oh shit. What's in the fanny pack? I knew you were gonna. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
No, we just want to know what's next for Big Ace Montana. Where can we see you? When can we see you again? I think that we already know the answer from the beginning, but I want you to go ahead, put yourself over, put over your gimmick, put everything over. Let us know what's next for Ace Montana.
Well, the goal I posted today on Facebook is in the next 24 months, I want to wrestle in Tokyo, Japan. I don't care who. I don't care what for, but I want to get in shape, get tan enough to take me, my size 15 cowboy boots, that 20-pound cowbell, all the way across the pond, and I want to lariat anyone that's in my way, and I want to fight the real fight, Ichiban #1, Big Ace Montana. I want to get my jacket from the steakhouse. I want to close that chapter of my life of wanting to be there and do that. So that's what's in the sight for Ace Montana, and I'm going to do everything I can to get there. respectively, of having kids, a family, a school, shit like that. Obviously it's going to come into play where it's like, okay, if I can do this, I'm going to get it done. But that's what I want to do is I want to wrestle over in Japan for at least a month, maybe 2 weeks, whatever I can do. In Tokyo, I want to know what that's like, right?
Yeah.
Everyone I love done it. I called Robert Gibson from the Rock and Roll Express today. Called him, said, "Is there any way that you can, anybody that I could call? In politics,
Sure.
I called a couple people, but he was the first one I called. He goes, "Hey, kid, I wrestled there 40 years ago. I can't. I'm so far removed now that, I'm just in. It's a dream of dream. It's just this dream of pro wrestling. You get so much. That's what I've always wanted. I wanted to see a poster of me in Japanese lettering, and I wanted the big zoom in and zoom. Whatever I got to do to get there, I'm gonna do it in the next 24 months. You can bet on that. If you don't, fine. But anyone's ever told me I couldn't do something pro wrestling, no, okay, hold my beer. You know what I'm saying? And the pro wrestling school, RVA Wrestling Academy, it's here on my home property. I got 15 acres on the river. Sorry for the metal building and the rain during the interview. But it is what it is. I'm sure we're talking loud enough that it ain't an issue.
Oh, yeah, we're fine.
RVA Wrestling Academy is, I break you into learning how to become and get started in independent professional wrestling. I didn't say WWE. I didn't say WCW. I didn't say WWF, ECW, TNA, NWA. I didn't say any of that. I said independent professional wrestling. I've been doing it for 20 years now. I entertain a lot of people. I've made some pretty cool money. Pretty cool opportunities. They make some money doing it, and I think I'm at the point now where it's a believable thing. And you come into the school, checking the locker room out, the buildings. It's only going to get better. That's the goal. It's only going to get better. Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither was any of the promotions we love to watch now. It all started small, and I plan to have. The goal is in the next year to have 3 rings, make the building bigger. Old school workout weight room set in the office and things. So I plan on doing some pretty cool things the next 12 months with that, other than trying to go to Japan and doing that. And then MATW, anywhere we're at, come by, check it out. It's a great, I said it earlier, if you can't afford a WWE ticket or AEW ticket, come watch independent pro wrestling. I'm sure I can send you the flyer for this week's show. You can put it in there.
I'll put it on there.
And, that's where I'm at with it. I've been doing it long enough time that, when you call the number on the flyer, brother, it comes right to the phone right here. And
what's in the fanny pack? The cell phone.
A lot more stuff we can't show. Only we don't get in trouble.
That's fair.
And no drugs. Nothing like that. No crazy. But just, it's just, that's pretty much it. I'm on Big Ace Montana on Facebook. I think it's like Big Ace Montana 1987 on Instagram. I don't know. You can find it. It's not that hard. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, see you down the road, kid. That's what I hear from the older guys, and that's what I tell the younger kids that are younger than me. I'll say this. I'll close it as Ace Montana. Don't fry bacon naked, baby. Follow your dreams. Shoot for the stars. And if you miss, shoot for the moon. And if you miss, you can land at the stars.
There you go. Ace Montana, thank you so much, man, for being here. I appreciate you, man. If you want good news, good reviews, good interviews, you're coming to It's All in Work podcast. Check out my man, Ace Montana. Check out MATW, and we'll see you soon.